There are 7 seas and 700 cruise ships.
70,000 crew members and 7 million passengers. Each has a story to tell.
Every week we take you onto the bridge, below the decks and behind the scenes.
So pack your bags, it's time to seize the day. Bianca, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So I gave you a little introduction before, and I've got Cindy here and Catherine, of course. Craig, who's the business development manager for Ponant, who hooked us up, he said in the email that you're the Paul Gauguin guru. Now, I take offence to that because I always thought I was the Paul Gauguin guru. So you're the senior business development executive for Ponant and Paul Gauguin. And how long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company for around about 3 years now. But I was very fortunate that I've somewhat grown up in the cruise industry. So I travelled on Paul Gauguin around about 10 years ago now.
Oh, but it's one of my favourite cruise lines and brands in the world, and I think Tahiti's the most beautiful place on earth, and Paul Gauguin is the best way to see it. I mean, you've got overwater bungalows and stuff, but you're stuck there, you don't move. Whereas Paul Gauguin, you're travelling every day. You have 2 or 3 days in Bora Bora or Marae, etc. So I'll switch over to Cindy, because the reason I've got Cindy here is Cindy came to me a couple of years ago and said, James, we want to go on a cruise. Where would you go? What would be your top pick for me? And I said, it's got to be Tahiti, it's got to be Paul Gauguin. So Cindy, just explain your story, why your experience of Tahiti and Paul Gauguin.
Well, I had visited Marae before, probably 5 years ago, and we looked at all the society islands, and there's just no way that you can individually travel to those and get a little taste of everything. So we decided to talk about cruising, and hence I met James, and James was my little cruising expert.
Guru.
No, you're not doing that today. And so he suggested we do the Paul Gauguin Cruise, which was obviously 7 nights, and the little snippet, little taste of all the society islands. And we thought, let's give this a go. This sounds really, really interesting. And it was absolutely breathtaking. We had the most amazing time. And so much so that we would love to do an extra holiday, just a special stay, just at Bora Bora, because that's just an absolutely beautiful destination. And hence we ended up on the Paul Gauguin.
So I have to confess, when I think cruising, I think sort of Poseidon adventure. And I was really relieved to see that this latest ship has been in dry dock in Singapore in February and has had a complete reno. Is that right?
So Bianca, please tell us about that. She looks so sexy. I'm going to be putting photos up, but oh my God, it looks like a Noosa beach house.
Oh my gosh, doesn't she just look amazing?
$1 million, like a brand new ship.
Oh, absolutely. So Paul Gauguin's been sailing since 1998, and it was always a fantastic ship. So 330 guests, it's nice and small and boutique. When Ponant made the purchase of the company, it would be around 18 months ago now. So Ponant comes under a brand umbrella, I should say, with the likes of Yves Saint Laurent, Puma, Christie's.
It's uber boutique. It's 6-star. It's small. It's French. I mean, what more do we need to say? And Paul Gauguin is French. So
exactly. Yeah. Yes. So it was a perfect brand partnership, and with that purchase, we were able to put a heap of funds into giving her a facelift and bringing her up to speed with the rest of the Ponant fleet. And she just looks absolutely wonderful. So we're so excited. She's actually just set sail over the last couple of days, just 3 days ago. She's resumed sailing again. So we're so excited when us Aussies and Kiwis can get back on board.
And so Bianca, in terms of for people, because I know anyone who's been on Paul Gauguin, they become instant fans, and they're always, they think about when they can go back again and stuff. So in terms of what was done on the ship, was it just the public areas? Were the carpets done, the furnishings? It looks like every aspect of the ship has been rebuilt almost.
Yeah, pretty much all of the interiors. She's almost unrecognizable. So really beautiful greens and dark wooden furniture. It kind of mirrors the islands that we travel. And then we had a lot of environmental upgrades too. So with a ship that was built, 3 decades ago, it was fantastic to bring her up to speed with, using I can't even remember the name, sorry. Getting rid of the
heavy fuel,
marine
haven't they
oil.
offset? There's something like 150% of the carbon emissions now offset, or?
Yeah, exactly. So just little upgrades like, for example, that for getting rid of the heavy marine oil, and things like that. It just helps preserve the environments that we're in, and that's a big philosophy of the company as well.
And it's the philosophy, and why Paul Gauguin is so unique is it's you only sail around Tahiti. It's in your DNA. Plus, you've got the local food, the culture. You've got those beautiful, beautiful Polynesian Tahitians on board with the ukulele and got the lays. I mean, we all have a good lay, and you've got a great lay going on there.
I sure do.
You do. So, Cindy, I think we were talking just before about one of your favourite days on board. I think that was the barbecue, the private
island, so the Motu Mahana, which is a full day. That just doesn't stop. You've got lots of activities on the water. There's lots of food. There's lots of alcohol. Actually, copious amounts of alcohol.
No wonder you loved it so much. Cindy.
Great way to quality control everything. And it's just organised really, really well. And it's just, I can't believe how beautiful the colour of the water was. So my background is exactly what this private island looks like.
And in fact, Catherine's dipping her feet in the Bora Bora Lagoon.
Sounds like swimming.
Yes.
I just couldn't believe the tours that are available once you're there, the catamaran flying, the scenic flights that are available. Apparently there you can explore the volcano. There's day excursions, and I read somewhere that was a Blue Lagoon tour. Is that actually where the movie was made, or is it just called the Blue Lagoon? Where was the movie made? Isn't it somewhere around Bora Bora?
I'm not sure. We'll have to do some research.
Yeah, I think
pretty sure it is.
I haven't heard of the Blue Lagoon as such, but I know Bloody Mary's, the bar, is at Bora Bora.
Isn't
That's
alcohol? Drunken sailors and hosties.
I was going to say, there's a theme here, Cindy.
I know. The common denominator. Yeah.
To be in Tahiti, and I think Bloody Mary's, correct me if I'm wrong, is in Bora Bora in Lagoon. And to sit at Bloody Mary's in the Bora Bora Lagoon in Tahiti in French Polynesia, it's one of the highlights of my life. It's just you can't top that. You really
Did
can't.
you stick a dollar bill on the wall as well, James, when you were there?
I'm too cheap for that, you know.
Oh.
I'm far too cheap for that, Cindy. Okay, so what's included, Bianca? Or Cindy, tell us. Everything's included, isn't it?
Everything's included, which is so easy because you get on the ship and you don't have to worry about anything anymore. Your food, your drinks, and there's lots of different restaurants, lots of different themes. There's 24-hour room service. The mini bar in the room is always stocked up. And when they...
that's a lot of work there, Cindy. That'd be a lot of work for you.
There is a common denominator, isn't there? I've only got water, I promise. I'm not drinking this in the morning. But when your butler realizes sort of your drink of the day, they will make sure that that particular drink is stocked in your bar more so than the other things that you don't drink. So their attention to detail is magnificent. And there's never a shortage. There is so much food. You can eat and drink your body weight.
And when you're out in the water, do they actually bring it to you? I saw this sort of floating bar out in the shallows.
Yes, that's a private island, I think. Is that correct, Bianca?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a private beach at Bora Bora, and then Motu Mahana, which is a private little motu or small island that Paul Gauguin has exclusive access to in the island of Taha'a. And both of these, we have this gorgeous float-up bar with palm fronds, cocktails, and of course the really friendly, gorgeous Tahitian crew there.
I was just about to mention that, because the Tahitian, they're just so gorgeous, you know, from within. Their hearts of gold, but they're just the most beautiful people on earth, I think, because they smile, they've got those beautiful, beautiful teeth, and the complexion and the tattoos, because all those tattoos from Polynesia, going back to history, and the Tahitian Islands are full of history, Captain Cook and Captain Bligh and things, but the tattoos that all these young kids are wearing all down their arms and stuff, that all started back when Captain Cook sailed to the Pacific and saw the tattoos on the Tahitians and the Maori, etc. And he took that back to the UK, and because of the maritime nature of Cook's adventures and things, that became very popular amongst sailors. But nowadays everyone's doing so. Anyone you see wearing tattoos, it goes back to Tahiti and Polynesia. And then the history I was just touching on quickly was Captain Bligh and the Bounty, and there was Captain Cook,
on the Bounty,
and it was just there's so much history. And one of the great things is about Paul Gauguin is the enrichment lectures. And I've done a lot of cruises, unlike Catherine. And the guy, there was this incredible, sorry, this will be a little bit longer than it should be, but the guy who took the lectures there was from New Zealand. He was a bit like a nutty professor. You've probably seen him, Bianca. And I think he was in bare feet or thongs doing this lecture, but he was phenomenal. And the way he told the stories, not just about Cook and the Bounty, but he got into the history of the Tahitian people and how the Tahitian people were the end result of Polynesia. They came out of Taiwan. And then what happened was he's not on every cruise, but he's on a lot of them because he lives in Tahiti. He studies it all. If he's on board, you must go to every single one of his lectures. Compulsive viewing. You don't know, one of those people who can talk and talk and talk. You just go, this is fantastic, give me more. But then if he's, depending what port he's on for the cruise, for that particular cruise, he'll then do a shore excursion, and he'll walk you through the jungle and come across these Polynesian statues and ruins and stuff like that. And it's like a David Attenborough experience. So it's not just cruising, it's not just the entertainment, there's this history, and Paul Gauguin do it better than any ship I've been on.
I agree. You know what? I actually, going back to my cruise on board, I got my high school certificate results while I was on board Paul Gauguin.
Wow.
And you know what I went on to study?
What?
Marine biology.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was so inspired by the lecturers, the dive master for scuba diving that was taking us out, that I genuinely went on to study that. I mean, look at me now working for a cruise line, but but no, it's fantastic. And I agree with what you say, that the incredible history and culture in Tahiti.
And the music, they do those shows. You get the guest performers come on at different islands, and there's no more sublime experience in the world than sitting on Paul Gauguin at the deck watching the sun sink into the lagoon at Bora Bora with a fluffy drink with 16 umbrellas and pineapples, and to have that little ukulele, and to have the traditional hula dances, and Polynesia is where hula came from, and they're smiling and they're laughing and they're infectious. As just, I can't rave about it enough. Would you agree with that, Cindy? Am I
100%.
Am I overselling it? Because I do.
No, it's amazing. And also another really wonderful night of entertainment we had was the staff night.
Oh, isn't that incredible?
That was incredible. The amount of talent in the staff, singing, dancing, telling jokes, impersonating. It was so much fun. We had such a great night. It was a real standout night. We thoroughly enjoyed that. Every night there's entertainment, but this was, do not miss it. It's so much fun. It was great.
And I think I should add that it's a perfect cruise. If you're on a honeymoon or something romantic, you can go on there and just stay to yourself, and the staff will be respectful. It's only 300 people on the ship. It never feels crowded. You don't have to wait for a lift, but you can have a totally romantic experience, just the two of you. Or if you want to meet people, everyone is in the best mood in the world because you're in Tahiti, for God's sake. And so everyone's just so happy and in holiday mood, and you meet the most amazing people you stay friends with forever. So it's a total package. It's not just a cruise. It's not just Tahiti, not just the culture or the free alcohol. And the marina. We haven't mentioned the marina at the back of the ship.
Oh, for paddle boarding, we did that a few times. And my husband did a day of diving, which he thoroughly enjoyed. There's so much activity that you'd be.
What about dolphins? Is there a dolphin?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't see any.
You were too drunk, Cindy.
Yeah.
A dolphin exhibition, something expedition.
Yeah. Well, so Taputa Point is the name of the area that they're really common. So we'll often have them, dancing off the front of the bow of the ship, and guests going out in their glass bottom boats. We'll have them zooming past on the wakes as well. So if you're after dolphins, Taputa Point and the itinerary is key. But I love what you were saying, that it's perfect. We've had 15,000 honeymooners join us since we first started in 1998. But not only for honeymooners or, people celebrating, you can get your adventure travelers, you can go scuba diving, you have families. It really appeals to everyone. And that's where I think Tahiti is just the ultimate destination.
And it's very international on board the ship. But what I alluded to before, Tahiti is French Polynesia. It was a colony of France. So it's French. There's French baguettes. It's not just in the Pacific. It's hard to get things, but they import everything from France. So the butter is French. The cheese is French. The wine is French.
I know, Bianca, what's the spa products that you use? Are they French as well?
No, so we actually use one from Tahiti. It's called Algatherm, I believe.
And it smells of coconuts.
Yeah. It's like citrus fruit and coconuts, almost like one of your cocktails, Cindy.
Yes, and so it's funny how smells can take you back. When I smell that coconut soap, it takes me back to Bora Bora. It takes me back to the walking on the beach with the sand and the waters like behind us in screenshots and things. What was any other questions from anyone, Catherine or Cindy?
Just a little bit about all this new renovation. So I hear there's like 3 lounges. Can you talk me through what they are and how they're different from each other?
Yes, of course. So we've got 4 bars on board and 3 restaurants. So in terms of the bars, you've got the pool bar. So you can sit out on your lounge chair in the sunshine on the open deck by the pool and sip on a cocktail. There is the Grand Salon, which is where we host most of the dances and things like what you spoke about, Cindy, as well as the lectures. So that's obviously got full beverage service too. Then there's La Palette too, which is kind of, I think of it as like a late night sort of dancing vibe.
It's a bit like a club. Isn't it?
A disco.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there is a whole variety, and the same goes for the restaurants too. You've got some open for just dinner only, like Le Trois, which is the main restaurant.
Le Trois.
So kind of, I know, beautiful, and that's where you see the French come in. But so beautiful kind of contemporary cuisine. You've got Le Grill, which is open breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Beautiful open air restaurant out by the pool deck. Tahitian specialties of a night. It's really
and local
yummy.
fish. They go out and catch. I think last time I was there was a big moonfish they caught, and it was huge. It was huge, and they caught it that day, and they got it on board, and we could all see it. And I think there was a demonstration when they cut it up, and then they cooked it. And to have that fish with the cocktails and everything. Sorry, I interrupted you there, Bianca.
No, that's okay. But that's exactly the idea. Is we use lots of local produce and influence from Tahiti. And so that's what makes it an amazing kind of authentic experience. And then we also have La Veranda, which is once again a combination of outdoor, indoor dining and beautiful kind of floor to ceiling glass windows, so you can view outside even if it was to be raining. It's a beautiful spot to sit. And then overnight, that's kind of the more elegant setting. So if I was there for a honeymoon, that would be where I would be for at least one celebratory night to get dressed up and enjoy yourselves and have some really beautiful fine dining style
And
style food.
just on that, Bianca, the dress code, it's just casual, isn't it? You don't have to, because a lot of people think cruising, I've got to have a tie on at night, I've got to have shoes and a jacket and things. It's Polynesia, it's relaxed. Is that still the case now that Ponant's taken over?
Yeah, absolutely. Casual, smart casual of an evening
yes.
is perfect. You know, there's no need to bring your tails along. You know, it's relaxed, and like you say, people will be wandering around in their thongs or in their sandals, and
especially for Australians and New Zealanders, there's a lot of Australians they want to go on a cruise, but they're put off, and especially at the top end, which is what we're talking about here, let me think, these not so much Seabourn, Silver Sea Regent, where it's expected to have a tie and a jacket and things. It's okay for some people, but a lot of Australians say, no, I'm not doing that. I want to go on a holiday and feel like I'm on a holiday. And Paul Gauguin and Tahiti there's no better place to do all of that.
Yes, exactly. And I don't think the Tahitian islands aren't conducive to dressing up like that. You know,
and the heat, you get that beautiful, the trade winds that blow through and all that sort of stuff. So in terms of the upgrades with the ship, any refinements with the food, like I know Ponant has got that very high-end French pedigree. Has that had any influence that you know on the menus and since Ponant's taken over?
No. So the menu and the onboard experience remains very much the same, but the interiors is what's had that kind of major refurb. And then we've also added the various amenities, bringing, for example, the beverage menu up to speed with Ponant. So when you say that the drinks are included, the open bar includes, as an example, Charles Heidsick. That's the pouring wine on board. So
that's a big upgrade.
Yeah, so, well, it's fantastic. I mean, everyone will be familiar with Piper Heidsick that you see in the supermarkets.
And we have it on board our aircraft, so.
Yeah, oh, perfect.
But
so,
I mean, that's a really significant upgrade because, I mean, it was fantastic before it was open bar. And I know when I first turned up, I thought the drinks were included. So I just thought it'd be beers and wines. And I said, what else is included? And they said, any cocktail you want on board and things. However, it used to be like a table champagne, etc. But that's a huge upgrade. So if they've done that across the drink spectrum, that's fantastic.
Yeah, certainly. So coffees, cocktails, spirits, just about anything you want is available as part of that. And then the other major upgrade has been that Wi-Fi is now included for all cabins too.
That's really important too, especially at the moment. Any other questions on Tahiti? Because we're just going to leave Tahiti shortly. Cindy?
Yes, just still give you the possibility to book an overwater bungalow in Bora Bora, Bianca?
Oh, I'm actually not 100% sure. So the majority of our itineraries do include 2 full days and the overnight in Bora Bora. I'm not 100% sure if you can book the overwater bungalow for that stay, but the range of activities that we do offer while we are there, you know, there's over 20 different itineraries 20 different optional excursions to enjoy. So I'm sure that would be one of them.
And Bianca, are you aware of Patrick and the Patrick's Lagoon tour with the stingrays and the fish and have you done that?
Oh no, not stingrays.
Yeah, stingrays.
That's
and
the one
sharks.
where you're sort of up to your chest or your stomach and they come up and
then you have lunch at the table and a table in the lagoon at Bora Bora. Have you done that one? I think Cindy's done that one.
Yes.
Yeah, so I did that while I was on board, and I think that had to be one of my favorite activities that we did do. Yeah. I know I was kind of like you, Catherine, then I thought, stingrays and they touch you, and I wasn't a fan. Well, but by the end, you can't help but be completely overwhelmed. They're everywhere.
It was so embarrassing because we were there there are a couple of other boats and things, you're standing, as you said, up to about breast height in the water, and these manta rays, which are like 1.5 meters, like they're big. They're big. They're not little ones. And I was petrified. And they were coming up, and they're like a sucker fish. They'll come up and cover you and suck on your chest. And I was screaming. It was so. And then they're going between my legs, and that was unacceptable. that was unacceptable.
I know, trying to get a photo there is just hilarious. Yeah, you'll be standing there smiling, and next thing it's up on your chest, covering you in salt water, sucking on your,
And they're
on your
huge.
chest.
They're huge.
It's hilarious.
And in fact, Cindy, we've got a friend of ours, we won't mention her by name, on Patrick's tour, and Patrick has his loincloth, like a real one. There's no protection. And so this friend of ours, who we won't mention, it doesn't swim or doesn't like water or something like that. So she remained behind in the little outrigger canoe with Patrick, and I think what was the story, Cindy? He forgot.
We were all in the water, and obviously when everyone's in the water, then Patrick can change into his swimming loincloth as opposed to his sailing loincloth. And because this particular lady stayed in the outrigger, there's not much space on the outrigger, so he had to very
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Change his loincloth and oil himself up with coconut oil. So it was a tad awkward, but very funny. Very,
a handful.
Very funny.
An uncomfortable
Coconuts, basically. That's all I'm saying.
So Bianca, Ponant. Ponant is a brand which is not familiar to a lot of people in Australia. There'll be some people who have no idea what Ponant is.
Ponant is a company that's been operating as well for over 30 years now, originating in Marseille, but now we have international offices all over the world. So what we specialize in, and as you would have heard about Paul Gauguin, is that really small ship kind of boutique luxury style experiences. We have now 12 ships stationed
12.
all over the world.
That's like 6 more than I thought.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of the largest expedition fleets in the world, and we have full autonomy over all of those ships. We own them all. So we have a fantastic ability to take our clients off the beaten path to all 7 continents and provide really exceptional, meaningful travel experiences. It's an incredible company. Originally starting with as a polar leader for luxury polar expeditions, and now branching out into tropical expeditions to improving the likes of our offering in Tahiti too. So it's a fantastic company, and I can see it in Australia only growing more and more.
And how big are the ships? They're a couple of hundred, like 500 people, maybe 600.
No, absolutely not. We don't do over 330.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So especially the Ponant ships are even that little bit smaller again. So what we have is the Explorer vessels, which are about a maximum of 180 guests.
Oh, wow.
And then the sister ships, of which we've got 4, that go up to around about 240.
And being French, because we talk about Paul Gauguin has been rebuilt to focus on that Tahitian lifestyle and island thing. The French, Ponant being French, is very chic, super stylish, cutting edge design that you'd expect from the top of the line French company. And what's that blue grotto in the base of some of the ships with the water and things? Can you explain that?
So this was a world first underwater lounge, I guess, that we've installed in our Explorer vessels. So what we've done is whereby you have the hull of the ship, and we've cut 2 giant 2.5 meter sized portholes into the side. And of course, what do? You build a bar between them, so you can sit down in the hull of the ship, and it's like a multimedia experience. So whereby you look out into the ocean. In Tahiti, we've actually seen manta rays cruising by. Then yeah, exactly. And then what we've done is installed a hydrophone on the hull of the ship. So that projects the sound from a 5K radius into the bar. So you can, as you're sitting there sipping on your champagne, you can enjoy the call of whales, dolphins. It's truly incredible. And so
I'm going to be putting up photos of videos of that as we're talking about that. Like it's cutting edge. And that's what Ponant is famous for. Like
that's more my speed, James, watching those stingrays from behind the glass.
Yes, well, we've got to get you on a ship first.
Yeah,
Catherine.
Oh.
Honestly, I think you would love it. Either Ponant or Paul Gauguin. It's just that small ship experience that really blows non-cruisers away.
Yeah, and if a lot of people have cruised. I mean, cruising within Australia and New Zealand, it's the biggest growth industry in the world. And they're used to the the 4 or 5 star brands like Celebrity or Royal Caribbean Princess, etc. And they're like, as we know, they're 3,000, 5,000 people now, some of those ships. To get on a small ship, Paul Gauguin, 300 people, you walk on board and go, wow, this is all for me. It's like your own private super yacht. So, and Ponant with those expedition ships, it's another level again, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's
So, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it's a really perfect balance between being able to find your own space, but still being able to, make friends and have an atmosphere with people on board. So it's a fantastic number of people to travel with in that sort of environment.
And I know that in previous years I've seen some of those incredible itineraries that really only you do. I don't know of other cruise lines that do them. I don't think they can because they're too big, but they go from South America to Easter Island and then to the place I have to get to, it's probably the hardest place on the world, Pitcairn Island, where there's no deep water harbour. It's almost impossible to get ashore. But you do those itineraries, I've seen them a couple of times a year sometimes, and then they go to Tahiti and Tonga and Samoa, and just, you guys are the only ones doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the benefits of having these beautiful, young, stunning, small ships, is that they all have a really shallow draft. So we can cruise the
That's
coast
how I'm described.
Yeah. A shallow draft. So we can kind of hug the coastlines, and you get this really fantastic kind of intimate experience with the destination that I just love. You're not out in open water the whole time, and we can seek solace in bays. Maybe Catherine, you're worried about seasickness on board.
Well, Catherine's worried about everything.
I saw there was a hospital. I was like, check.
But it does mean that we can seek solace from any winds or storms that are coming. So we have that flexibility in our itineraries. And that Pitcairn Island one is just phenomenal.
Have you done that by chance or not?
I haven't. It's very high on.
Well, I'm going to be the Pitcairn Island guru, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You can own it.
We'll get you on next time and we'll chat
Bianca,
about Ponant and Pitcairn.
Bianca, let's have a competition. Let's see who gets to Pitcairn first.
All right.
Okay, well,
we'll do it like the Bounty. We'll mount the tiny boat and we'll start rowing now.
Bianca, a special lay to the winner, hey?
Sounds good. I'll gift you my favourite.
Okay, so I think we need to do a whole episode, Catherine, on Ponant. I've got so many questions.
Sounds great.
Like it's Australians just don't know Ponant, and that's great. And you've got so many itineraries coming up. Are you doing the Kimberley next year, or?
Yes, absolutely. So the Kimberley is our huge season for our Australian clients. From March till September, we'll have 2 vessels there.
Get out of town.
So 2
Get
vessels.
out of town.
I know, it's incredible. So 2 between Broome and Darwin, exploring that incredible part of the world.
So obviously, if you're doing the Kimberley, the ships must be either going down south via the Bight, or they're going up north. Do you know? Are there other itineraries like Sydney and Melbourne, Queensland? Are they going to be able to have Ponant ships in their harbours?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a full close to home program for Australians and New Zealanders. So you'll see some East Coast itineraries in there. Some of my favourites, which are the Tasmania circumnavigations. So with a real food and wine hint to them. We do have a couple down the south coast, and then over to New Zealand as well.
Oh, fantastic! Do the Ponant ships all have zodiacs, or only the expedition ones, or?
So correct. We use the zodiacs on expedition cruising.
Yep.
So that's whereby it's around about 10 to 12 on each of our ships that are designed. Whereby I spoke about being able to get in nice and close to the destinations. These then take you further once again.
And just quickly, have you got one new ship coming out, or 2, or what's on the horizon?
We've just this week launched our really exciting ship. It's called Le Commandant Charcot.
Oh, it's the names of all your ships are just fantastic. I can't pronounce them, so I'll just go, it's the French ship. But it's just so
don't tell
evocative.
anyone in head office, but you can call it Charcot for sure. But that's something, once again, a step ahead of the technology that's been available. So this is a hybrid electric ship. So it's used just for polar exploration. So in the last few weeks, it was the first French and the first battery-powered hybrid vessel to make it to the North Pole.
Oh, well, it sounds like you're really focused on that environmental, caring for the people,
pretty impressive.
to where we're cruising to, and looking after the places so that it's there for all of us to see going into the future.
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of the philosophy of all of our itineraries is, that people protect most what they know well. So, by transporting our guests to the incredible islands of Tahiti, for example, they can see that beautiful landscapes, the scenery, the locals, and it becomes an inherent kind of desire to protect them. And that goes with all of our destinations.
And I know it's actually a big change that's coming to the cruise industry. Places like Venice, Tahiti's one of them, have been bursting the seams because the ships are too big, and they're in the canal in Venice, and 3,000 to 5,000 people just floods that place. And so all the locals are up in arms. The governments are coming out and saying, we're going to ban the big ships. That's already happened in Venice. Tahiti, I read just the other day, are looking at reducing the size of the ships that can go to Tahiti. So I think the ones doing the Trans-Pacifics up until now have been like 3,000 to 4,000 people. And the Tahiti government has recently come out and said, no, this is not good for our environment. It's not good for our culture, our people, to have 3,000 to 5,000 people being dumped on our shores for a day and then they leave. So they're restricting the size, so which is great, but it means you guys are in the pole position you might be the only ones who are able to cruise there, because most of the other cruise lines are moving, they're getting bigger, they're not getting smaller.
No, exactly. And that's something that I love, is that we have, rather than, carry more and more people, we've gone smaller and smaller, but make more ships. Yeah. So that we have different destination options and still that really intimate experience, and we're not overwhelming the communities and the places that we do visit.
Absolutely. So any other questions, Catherine or
no, not that I can
Cindy,
think
before
of.
we wrap? So we do have to do a whole... Sorry, Cindy.
Sorry, James. I just wanted to highlight the crew to guest ratio is also really important. There's staff everywhere, so you're not waiting for anything. I'm not
your
sure.
minibar.
I don't think it's... I know you're not minibar.
You got one person outside your door stocking up the minibar.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's 1-to-1, but I think it might be 1 to 1.5, or I'm not sure exactly how they work it out, Bianca, but there are staff everywhere and nothing is too much. Like everything's taken care of really, really quickly. So that was another thing that really stood out as well.
Yeah, like you say, so it's one of the highest at sea. It's about 1 to 1.5. So that's around about 217 crew for the 330 guests.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Bianca. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going
Thanks so much for having me.
And I'm going to win that lay. I'm going to get to Pitcairn before you. I'll be on the first ship to Pitcairn. And so thank you so much for being so generous with your time. And we're going to have you back. We're going to have to lock in a time for Ponant very soon, because I want to get into all that French sexiness. And so until then, thank you to our very special guest, Cindy, as well.
Thanks.
And my co-host, Catherine.
And good fun.
Thank you. Okay, so if you love what we do here, if you've enjoyed that last episode and you want more, and I know you're desperate for us, you're desperate for more, we've got a little favour to ask, and that's to help ensure the algorithm on this platform won't sing us like Rose and Jack on the Titanic.
Oh my God, you'll drive them away.
So favour number 1, please hit the subscribe button. You'll find down below, and there's also a little bell that will make sure you get a notification every time we've got a new episode. And finally, please be our friends. Remember to like us, please, please, please.
Got any questions for our feature guests this week? Just pop them in the comment section below and they'll answer them especially for you. Remember, for an audio version of each episode, search for us wherever you download your favourite podcasts.
So until next week, Catherine, pack your bags. You need to get off to the doctor and get a script for all those seasickness meds I know you're going to bring on that first cruise. And never, ever forget our motto here at Plain Sailing. What is it, Catherine? Seize the day.